these elitist men, these hypocrites, they don't want to arrive at a society that embraces humanist values. They do not want to reform from within. They are serpents and vipers and parasites. And they are preying on society, and they are going to continue to prey on society. And this tragedy that befalls us to live through in this time, when there will be a rise of authoritarian nation states that come after those who speak out, who try to tell the truth, when there is a rise of the violent military man, the toxic masculine man, the superficial man, who is such an incredible danger to the good, who is such an incredible danger to those who care, who has no mercy in his heart, who only wants to smash and kill in the name of his ideology and make himself feel empowered and make himself feel good. One of the greatest documents that was ever written in the history of humanity was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And the reason the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was one of the greatest documents ever written in the history of humanity is because it embodies all the morals from our historical religions, except it has sublated those morals. It has overcome the primitive and dogmatic structure of those morals. It has retained the best of that social morality and brought it into a more advanced, enlightened form. And so it says in Article 22 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that everyone, as a member of society, has the right to social security and is entitled to realization through national effort and international cooperation in accordance with the organization and resources of each state, of the economic, social, and cultural rights indispensable for his dignity and the free development of his personality. This is a defense of the individual. This is the most significant defense of the individual in the history of humanity. It transcends what was achieved in the social consciousness or the social morality of religion. Everyone, as a member of society, has the right to social security and is entitled to realization. Why social security? Why the granting of this right? Because it is necessary for a human to thrive, and because the earth was created by no one. We are born onto it, and it belongs to all. Therefore, any just society, any fair society must take the approach that all those who are born onto the earth have a right to be nourished and sheltered by the earth. But this is not what we find in our time. We find the very opposite. We find men who rise up and deny this right to humans. More specifically, they lord this right, they hoard this right to themselves, that the earth and its resources and its socially produced wealth belongs to them. Something is wrong with the system when its channels of resources, when its channels of wealth funnel into the hands and the pockets of individuals who hoard that wealth and restrict that wealth from other humans. When all of those who live on the earth have great need of this wealth, have great need of these resources, when all of those on the earth cannot live without the resources of the earth. What type of madness, what type of sanity is it for a species to allow solitary primates to hoard the wealth of their labor against the well-being of the species? What type of ideological madness produced this in the species, that they would do this to themselves, that they would allow individuals to rise up to such a high pillar of hoarding that they themselves are existentially impaired by that hoarding? What type of madness is this? The Declaration says in Article 25 that everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. This is the humanist morality of community. This is the morality of human consciousness that has transcended the dogma of primitive religions. This is human consciousness come into an awareness of the necessity of well-being, of the necessity of humans having need of the goods and the resources of the earth onto which they are born. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family. What if the world upheld these rights for 2,000 years, like they upheld the rights, the notions, the ideals of Christianity for 2,000 years? What if they upheld these rights? What if we practiced these rights? What if we were born into these rights? What if we became zealous about these rights? What if we practiced this humanism like the new religion of humanity? What if we embraced it as an ideology, as an idealism, not an ideology, as an idealism of high authority, as a guide of wisdom that could help us to live better lives and produce better societies? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says in Article 25, motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. Article 26 says that everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free. At least in the elementary and fundamental stages, elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. What about a society that embraces education, that wants its young to be educated and intelligent in humanist values, in logic, in reason, in civics, to bring forth a better world? What if we have this consciousness? What if we practice this awareness? What if we practice this intelligence? Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, not just an education that indoctrinates the human into ideology, so they submit, so they obey, so they become wage slaves, but an education that develops the human personality and strengthens our respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. What if we were training and educating our young to respect human rights and fundamental freedoms? What if we had societies that were conscious and educated in fundamental human rights and fundamental freedoms? What type of world would we then have? What type of intelligence would we have? What type of progress could we make as a species? It shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations. Racial or religious groups, and shall further the activity of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. For the maintenance of peace. To promote understanding, not just talking at each other, but listening to each other, validating each other, holding forth each other's dignity at the foundational level. Tolerance and friendship among all nations. Tolerance, that we learn how to interact with each other in communication by listening and by compromising and finding a way, most importantly, above all else, to move the world in the direction of peace, to allow the objective and the value of peace to guide us. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is the highest level that human consciousness has achieved. It is the expansion of the religious consciousness into a sublated consciousness, into a more specific and detailed morality that can assist the development of society into the formation of a peaceful and enlightened union. Everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancements and its benefits. Everyone has the right to the protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. In this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we have a true light for humanity, because it's a light that tries to self-consciously uphold human dignity. It's a document that tries to put forth the notion of freedom, the notion of equality. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity, says Article 1, and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. We are trapped on this planet, floating in the black void of space. And we tell ourselves stories to make ourselves feel better about the predicament that we're in, but those stories often drive us away from the urgency and intelligence of addressing and dealing with our situation. And instead, we need to face the reality, the hard reality of our isolated and lonely plight in the universe. And we need to allow the collective consciousness of humanity, which we find in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the development of this collective consciousness as idea has developed from idea to idea to idea, as we have been able to expand the civility and intelligence of our morality. And we need to allow this universal spirit, this world spirit, as Hegel called it, not a real spirit, but a spirit that is contained in the collective consciousness that is kept alive through history by societies, by individuals, as individuals are educated in the past. And they keep that awareness alive, and we add to it, and we continue to develop it. This is the hope for humanity. And this is what is contained in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.